I don't even know what this is, guys. It could be a trout, red, ladyfish. There's no telling. I'm gonna need the net either way. Oh, nice trout, man.
Hey, what's going on, Saltstar Nation? Welcome back to today's video. And today we are gonna be going over how to catch trout on shrimp lures. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so when talking about catching trout on shrimp lures, there's really a huge mistake that I see anglers make all the time. So shrimp lures, just like our power prawn, are phenomenal to use. They're great lures, they look good in the water, and they catch fish. However, the number one problem that I see is anglers are using them in the wrong areas. So let's go over the top 3 areas to use shrimp lures to catch trout. All right, so the first type of area that I really like using shrimp lures is gonna be flooded grass lines. So anywhere that has exit points coming out of marsh systems or anything like that, and if you can target grass lines at high tide, especially ones that have structure around them, those are really, really good places because those shrimp like to get up shallow and get in the grass away from those predators. So if you're using a shrimp lure in that type of scenario, the trout are gonna be used to seeing it and looking for shrimp as a food source in that area. All right, so the second place I really like using shrimp lures are gonna be on flooded flats. So I really like doing this around the mid-tide period when there's a little bit more current movement moving over those flats because those fish like hunting shallow in those type of areas. And a lot of times that's just enough where the shrimp have to get out of the grass and they start getting pushed across those flats. So those trout are waiting for those shrimp to get pushed across the flat into some deeper water. So if you can go ahead and time it with that mid-tide bite, that a lot of times is a really good place to start and throw shrimp lures as well. All right, so the third and final place I really like using shrimp lures is actually gonna be in more of a low tide situation, and that's fishing drains. So usually, guys, if you've ever seen fish and bait come out of a drain or some type of creek system, usually your bait fish come out first and then your shrimp are typically last. That's why you get to see those red fish busting bait as well. But for trout, what they like to do is hang in that deeper water just outside of those drains. And that way, when those shrimp get pushed out with the tide, they're there and ready to eat them. So if you can go ahead and find an area that's got a deeper hole next to a drain, I guarantee you there's gonna be some trout there you can pick off. So now that we've gone over the type of areas to use shrimp lures, that's very important. Now let's go ahead and get into how to retrieve them. And today I've got 3 main retrieves that I use almost year round, just depending on conditions. So the first retrieve that I like using, if you've ever seen a shrimp kind of just moving in the water, it actually swims straight just like this at a very slow pace. So as you're going and reeling in, that's all you're doing. You're not making any twitches or any fast movements. You're doing a slow roll with the reel, and that shrimp's just kind of gliding and swimming through the water. So if you can get that retrieve, that's a supernatural retrieve. Shrimp do that all the time. That's kind of before they're spooked and everything like that. So a lot of times those fish pounce on it. All right, so the second retrieve that I really like using, and this works great when there's a lot of shrimp around and you're trying to get yours noticed, is actually gonna be the twitch pause retrieve. So this works really well when you're fishing on the bottom. And what I like to do is once I let that lure go and sink all the way to the bottom, I'll do a quick jerk, and then let it pause. And doing that is symbolizing that that bait or that shrimp has gotten spooked, and often that really triggers a reaction bite. So making sure that one, your bait or lure gets to the bottom, then do a quick twitch and another twitch, and then let it fall again. And a lot of times that's when those fish pick it up. All right, guys, now the third and final retrieve that I really like using, this is a little bit more in kind of a cold weather environment, but it really does work year round as well. And that's just gonna be a drag. So what I do, again, number one, I let this lure get to the bottom, and once it's down there, all I do is give it a 6 to 12 inch drag with my rod tip, just like that on the bottom, and then I let it sit. And I do that again. I reel in the slack, let it sit, drag it. I'm not reeling it or anything like that with the reel. I'm actually using the rod tip to drag. One thing that is really good about that, especially in your colder weather or when you have soft bites, is you've constantly got tension on the line. So that way you can feel a bite as soon as it happens. But this is a great presentation. Shrimp naturally do that all the time anyway, especially if they're getting washed out with the tide. They actually like to hang and kind of cling onto that bottom so they don't get washed away too much. So if you can do that retrieve, especially in your colder months, that's a really good one as well. All right, so I hope you found these tips helpful when it comes to where to fish shrimp lures and then how when it comes to retrieve. If you have any questions or anything like that, or want to check out any of our lures like the Power Prawn with this Haas Helix hook, this is a 1/8 ounce, probably one of my favorites. It gets down to the bottom enough, but it also looks really natural if it's falling through the water. Definitely be sure to check it out at fishstrong.com. Other than that, feel free to leave any questions or comments below. And if you're new to Salt Strong, just know that we're the best online club for saltwater anglers, especially if you're targeting redfish, sea trout, snook, or flounder. There's nothing else like it, and we actually guarantee that you'll catch more fish while saving time and money. We do this with our premium education, the exclusive insider community, and huge discounts on all the tackle you need. To learn more, go to saltstrong.com. Otherwise, we hope to see you again soon.